Hello, friends. Welcome to Rewilding Wellness Wednesdays, a podcast, yes, but so much more than that. A community, a gathering place, and a movement. I'm thrilled to have you here. I'm Dr. Christy Vanacore. Here on Rewilding Wellness Wednesdays, we come together to remember what it really means to be well in body, mind, spirit, and soul. This is a place where we can listen, learn, ask questions, and share our voices. A place where ancient wisdom and modern science meet, and where we stop trying to fix ourselves and instead begin to remember who we truly are. Every Wednesday, we gather here not just for more information, but instead for transformation, for connection, for implementing the medicine of story, movement, silence, song, and community. Rewilding wellness isn't something that we are supposed to do alone. It's something that we're meant to do together, because in doing so, we become part of something bigger than ourselves. We become part of a movement back to wholeness. So I'm thrilled to have you all here. Tonight's podcast, I am still having some technical difficulties as I'm working on shifting to a new platform to make this experience better for all of us. So tonight you will hear me on audio. There will be no video. There is no community tonight. It's just me talking. And I really appreciate your patience as I navigate this process. So I am good at many things. Technology is not one of them. But you know what, folks, this is as real as it gets. So yes, I'm a doctor. I've been doing this work for almost 3 decades, but I'm a mom of two. I do this from my home office because it's really important to me to be present with my family. So this is not anything fancy. You may hear my dog Roscoe barking in the background. And no frills, but I really hope to bring you some really powerful and incredible information that's going to empower you and your family. So tonight's topic is incredibly important. It's all about leadership parenting. Hopefully you've read my blogs on Facebook in the last couple of days. If not, I will link them below this in the YouTube channel so that you can go and check them out. We're going to dive into this shortly, but for those of you who are new to me, I'm just going to take a moment to more formally introduce myself. So I'm Dr. Christy Vanacore. I'm a doctor, medicine woman, author, lyricist, ceremonialist, and a prominent trailblazer offering a different but essential approach known as rewilding wellness for adults, children, teens, and families. So I utilize multidimensional and bioquantum practices for holistic healing and thriving. And after witnessing the staggering rates of chronic illness in adults and children and the ineffective and disempowering practices of modern traditional medicine, I recognized that it was my life's mission to bring the health and wellness industries back to its roots and reconnect people with their innate self-healing capacities. So for me, as we are vibrational beings and healing can only be birthed from the union of science and soul, I empower people to thrive and heal through frequency, embodiment, cellular calibration, regeneration, and really support individuals and families to rediscover their body's brilliance and timeless wisdom so we can realign with the natural synergy of all of creation. So I am here to light the way as you remember your roots, rekindle your instincts, and reclaim your sovereignty. In addition to this podcast and my books and my wellness guides and my classes and my workshops, I do work with clients individually. I also offer wellness retreats, immersive wellness experiences, and groups. So lots of different ways that I bring my offerings out into the world in order to help people courageously navigate life with grace and ease, peace and harmony so that you are ready to soar. And for me, that means steady and strong, open, aware and awake, and resilient and ready. So that's a little bit about who I am. Again, I'm thrilled to have you here. I can't wait till we get back to these live podcasts because I love interacting with all of you. And it's just so important to me and powerful because, again, we're not meant to do this alone. We're meant to do this in community. So can't wait to get back to that, hopefully next week. In the meantime, let me begin to just kind of set the stage for tonight's episode, which is all about raising leaders in a world full of followers. And this is so powerful and so important. So just to frame and give this topic a little bit of context. So this past weekend, I was at a hockey tournament with my younger son. If you guys know me, you know I'm a hockey mom. Both of my boys play. And my younger son was at a tournament up in Boston. And prior to the game starting, I watched my son drop to one knee at center ice before the game began. And his head was bowed in prayer, despite all of the noise around him in the rink. And it was such a touching moment. And I've seen him do this before. And so many people always comment to me on just really what a profound sight it is to witness, such a young man really connected and present in that way. But for some reason, during this particular game, I thought that this is what leadership really looks like. When we hear that word thrown around nowadays, we hear it referenced with titles and trophies and resumes and, letters on a jersey. But the truth is that leadership is really about humility and discipline, faith, kindness, presence. Sadly, our kids are growing up in a world where their role models are TikTok influencers. They're bombarded with confusion and pressure and just drowning in a sea of industries that profit from their pain. So to me, leadership has never been more important. So much more than just, for college applications. But I really believe this is for survival and resilience and wholeness. So I want to talk with you tonight about what leadership really means, going into more details about why it matters now more than ever, and how we as parents or caregivers or coaches can model this in our homes, our families, and our communities, so that our children know what it looks like to live with courage and clarity and with heart, right? So this is what we're looking for when we talk about leadership. So, we want the kind of leaders in a world that are not the kinds that go viral, but instead the ones who live with integrity. And leadership isn't about being loud. It's not the loudest kid on the ice. It's not the loudest guy in the boardroom. It's the person who's grounded and humble and consistent and rooted in values. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. So, as I shared a minute ago, I'm just always continuously blown away by the influencers that are out there, the TikTok influencers, the Instagram influencers, the algorithms, and all of the industries that really benefit from keeping our kids insecure. And this is all happening when the rates of suicide, anxiety, depression, addiction, anxiety, chronic illness, they're rising exponentially. And I truly believe that this is showing us what happens when children lack real role models. So to me, leadership is not optional. It's necessary for resilience, for wholeness, for really instilling in our children a moral compass that they can rely on, right? So rather than these TikTok influencers and celebrities, I believe that parents need to be the primary leaders who their children look up to. What they really need is an anchor, a steady, trustworthy presence that shows them what it means to live well in every aspect of life. So right now, our kids are being dragged around, they're being pulled in 1,000 directions. They're being told what to wear, how to think, who to be. They're questioning their own essential essence. They're being brainwashed. They're being put on artificial hormones to be anything other than who they are. Their life force is being medicated and poisoned right out of them. And they're losing their way. And when they don't see true leadership modeled for them, they're just going to keep following the voices that profit from their pain, that benefit from them being misguided. We need to step in. So I want to talk for a minute about this concept of leadership. Again, it does get thrown around a lot in a lot of ways, and I want to redefine it a bit. Because again, in this culture that is constantly training us to strive and achieve, we get away from what the essence of true leadership really means. It becomes diluted, it becomes misdirected, just like our children do. So if I could redefine leadership, I would start by saying it's not a position or a title. It's a way of being. So it's not about being the loudest. It's not about dominance. It's not even about being perfect. It's not even about being the smartest. It's really about character. It's about consistency, courage, discipline. It's the kid who encourages his teammates, the one who welcomes the new kids with a smile, the one who uses humor appropriately and playfully, the one who's kind but strong. I look at my son and I see it in action, the discipline in his training, the prayer on one knee before the game, all the things that he does to regulate his nervous system so that he can enter a game from a place of balance and ease. I see how he encourages his teammates. It's so admirable. It's so admirable. And it reminds me that leadership in this redefined way is love in action and faith in motion. And it's this quiet strength to do the right thing even when no one is watching. It's integrity. So I want to talk for a couple of moments about what parents can do to model leadership. Because here's the thing, friends. Our kids learn more from what they see than what they hear. Our words often fall on deaf ears. And I have to remind myself this a lot. If you guys know me, you know I'm a talker. I'm a writer. I'm an author. I'm a poet. I'm a lyricist. So I use language a lot, but the reality is that action speaks louder than words, particularly when it comes to leadership. And as a mom, I need to remember that I am constantly on a stage, that every move I make and every breath I take, they're watching me. Both of my boys are watching. They learn more from what we do and so much less from what we say. And I know so many parents, myself included. Look, I don't sit here and claim to be the perfect parent. I'm not. There is no perfection. And I make plenty of mistakes because I'm human. And I always say that as we're parenting our kids, we're parenting ourselves. So we're all just trying to figure it out. But I always have to remind myself that I can speak a great game. I could talk a great game. I could say all the right words. But if my actions don't match those words, I lose all credibility with my kids. They can't trust me when my words and my actions don't match. And I know so many parents, again, myself included, that are smart enough to know all the things to say, but they don't necessarily know how to embody them. And so, again, the words might be great. You could write the book on it, but if you don't show them how to be it, it means nothing. So I'd like to go through some of the ways that I have found to model leadership at home. The first one is that I make it a priority to live my values out loud. So if I value kindness, I make it a point all the time, but especially around my kids, to show that kindness. Not just say, oh, I'm kind, I'm going to be kind, but to show it. At the grocery store when someone can't reach something, or someone's short on change in the grocery store, or whatever it is, it can show kindness there. It can show patience in traffic. Look, I'm not great at that one, but I do try. I do try. I always express gratitude at the dinner table. And again, it's not just with words, it's my actions. When I take a moment to pray over my meal, to thank the animals, the plants, the farmers, God, they notice this. I don't have to say it. I don't have to draw their attention to it with words. They're just watching. Another way that I have found to model leadership at home is by tending to my own health. So when I model rest, nervous system practices, movement practices, boundaries, I'm showing them how to do the same. Because I realize that if I'm burnt out, I'm teaching them burnout. If I'm stressed out, I'm teaching them stressed out. So whatever I do is the example I'm giving to them. The story of my life is what they will internalize. Another way that I model leadership, this is, well, they're all important, but this is one that really has been so profound, is that I own my mistakes. So, I don't ever claim to be perfect in front of my kids. I don't ever claim to have all the answers. I don't ever claim that it's my way or the highway. I don't, because it's not. I apologize when I need to, often. I allow myself to be open and real in front of my kids. I recognize if I've treated them in a way that's not respectful, or if I've treated their father in a way that is not respectful, or if I've made an error in judgment. I own it. Because apologizing doesn't weaken my authority, it just strengthens my credibility. It lets them know that they can trust me to be authentic, that I'm not going to hide or hold anything back or sugarcoat. I don't sugarcoat anything. There isn't anything that I keep from my kids. There isn't anything that I pretend doesn't exist. I give it all to them straight, because it's the only way they're going to learn how to handle it. When I own my mistakes, I teach them that they can own theirs. If I'm worried about messing up, they're going to be worried about messing up. And I can't have that. They need to know that they're held by a loving foundation that can support them even if they fail or falter. And they can own it and they can try again. And that starts with me. Another way that I model leadership is by honoring my word, keeping my promises. So when I follow through, my kids learn what trust looks like, right? When you keep your promise, it teaches them integrity. It teaches them that they can trust you. And trusting us as parents is the foundation for how they learn to trust themselves. So I keep my word. And if there's something I can't guarantee, I won't do it. I won't guarantee it. I won't promise it. I won't make empty promises. I need to be dependable, reliable, and trustworthy for my kids all the time. So I have to be a woman of my word. I also prioritize presence. So this is always a work in progress. Putting the phone down, for example. Showing my kids that they matter more than the next scroll. It's about attunement. It's about listening, full body listening, not the distracted listening where you're doing 5 things at once while they're talking your ear off in the background. That's not listening. That's not listening. That's passive. We want active listening. Look in their eyes. Remind them of their importance and significance. Remind them that their words are treasured and valued and important. And that if they're taking the time to talk to you, I don't care what the topic is, it's because you're important to them. Respect that. Honor that. Put the phone down. Put the dishes down. Put down whatever is in your hands and look at your kids. Not because we want them to feel like the most important beings in the world, because they're not. They're not. But we want them to know that they've got a foundation in us, that they've got a sounding board when they need us, that when the shit of life hits the fan, they can come to us with whatever the topic is, and that we will be clear and present and attuned for them, that we can be the rock when they need us to be. Another thing that I do to model leadership is always choosing courage. And what I mean by that is letting my kids see that we often have to take the harder right instead of the easier wrong. It's the only way I can explain it. Let them see you take the harder right instead of the easier wrong. Let them see you work. Let them see you make the difficult but necessary decisions. Let them see you value honesty over politeness. This is the only way they'll learn how to do the same. Let them see you take the harder right instead of the easier wrong. It's so easy to do the wrong thing in this world. It's so much harder to do the right thing. I get that. Show them. Show them, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. Show them, model for them how to lean into discomfort, how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. They need to learn how to do that. So those are just some of the ways that I model leadership in my home for my kids. Outside of my home, at my healing haven, when I'm working with children and families, and again, I've got almost 3 decades of experience doing this. I've worked with kids and families in every setting you can imagine, from hospitals to community mental health centers, to outpatient clinics, to private practices, to schools, to residential treatment facilities to medical hospitals to street corners. And I can tell you that leadership is not creating perfect kids. It's about creating sovereign, whole, and resilient beings. I could tell you that kids do not need more labels and more diagnoses. They don't need more damn quick fixes. They don't. They need leaders. They need to live in homes where values are lived and embodied, where they're shown how wounds can be healed. So this is what I do in my work. I guide families to clear out all of the old and stuck and stagnant and sequestered stories and emotions that sabotage their connections. Roscoe knows. I help them rewild their rhythms. Rewilding, you guys. It's about coming back to the essence of who you are. It's shifting away from that domestication of conditioning, indoctrination that leads to apathy and fear and fragmentation, so we can come back to our wholeness by reclaiming our rhythms, clearing the wounds, reconnecting with our intuition and our moral compass, reestablishing a connection with nature, movement, storytelling, silence. Those are the universal healing medicines. I teach kids and their parents alike to trust their intuition and to lead from that place of integrity. This is how we navigate the chaos of the world outside. I'm helping to shape leaders, and it starts with us. It starts with this leadership parenting. You know, being the best parent is not about the fancy vacations that you can bring your kids on. It's not about how much money you make. It's not about the size house you live in and whether you have all the cars and whether they're enrolled in all the activities. None of that matters. None of that matters. What matters is, what are your children seeing when they look at you? What story are you telling them with your life that they're going to end up carrying into theirs? Look in the mirror. What do you see when you see yourself staring back at you? This is about honesty. This is about removing the damn masks and once and for all looking at ourselves like life depends on it, because it does. You know what? Our children's lives depend on it. Our children's lives depend on us removing the mask. We are the leaders they are waiting for. This is a call to action for us, for their very survival of their generation and all of the generations that will come after us. And we cannot just show them with our words. Our words mean shit. We have to show them with our actions what it looks like to create a life with courage, leading with heart, living in a state of coherence instead of static and dissonance. The world does not need more followers. Lord knows we've got plenty. It needs us and it needs them to rise as leaders. What are you waiting for? I think of this image of my son. That just brings tears to my eyes at center ice, again, on one knee, head bowed, stillness before the storm, dialing in, locking in, connecting with something bigger than himself, rooted in faith, rooted in knowing without shadow of a doubt who he is and why he came. And it's not just to play hockey. So I ask you as parents, think, reflect, look in the mirror. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself on a daily basis. Daily basis, you guys, not once in a while. Do it like your kid's life depends on it, because it does. Don't let them be another statistic, another one jumping off the bridge, another one so misguided and confused and they're shooting up schools. Look in the mirror. When my child looks at me, what are they learning about leadership? What are the top 3 values I want to model for my children? Do my daily actions reflect those values? When I make a mistake at home, how do I respond to it? Do I use it as a chance to teach humility and integrity? Do I work towards repairing the rupture? Or do I use denial? Not me. Where am I still following old patterns of avoidance, denial, distraction, stress, instead of showing up as an anchored leader for myself and my family? Ask yourself these questions like your children's life depends on it. This week, take some new action steps. Do something different than you've never done before. Lead with presence. Choose a moment each day. Put the damn phone down. Make eye contact and listen deeply to your child. Listen with your ears, your eyes, your heart. Model your values. Identify any small act of kindness, of patience, of gratitude that you want your kids to see, and practice it out loud so they notice. And you don't have to call it out with words. In fact, the words will detract from it. Let your body talk. Apologize and repair the ruptures. If you get reactive or impatient, that's fine. Take a breath. Own it. Apologize. Show them that leadership is about humility. Anchor yourself in ritual. Every day, pick one consistent ritual. Maybe it's a mealtime gratitude prayer. Maybe it's a walk in the evening after dinner as a family. Maybe it's family storytelling before bed. Whatever it is, choose one consistent daily ritual that grounds your family, that anchors them, that becomes a foundation that they know they can come back to time and time again. No matter what is happening in their lives, no matter what they do, no matter the gravity of the mistake that they might make, they know they have a foundation that is safe and steady. And for kids, any kids who might be listening to this, or you as parents who might want to offer this to kids, especially the younger ones, because they'll still listen to you. Ask your kids, and you can even do this together. Who do you look up to and why? In your eyes, what makes someone a good leader? When was the last time you encouraged or helped a friend or a teammate or a classmate? How did it make you feel? Ask them these questions. Do this together. Ask them and then let them ask you. Look in the mirror together. Together. Like their lives depend on it. Take 5 minutes in silence with your child. Place a hand on your heart. Take a deep breath and quietly affirm, I lead you with love. I lead you with presence. I will lead by example. That's leadership parenting. I hope I've given you some things to think about, some ways that amidst all of these harrowing news stories, when we say we feel so helpless, there's no reason to feel helpless. Changing the world starts right in your home. Use this as an opportunity to step into this role of leading with love for your children. Changing the world begins with you. Look in the mirror. Look at your children. Start there. We're not helpless. We're not innocent bystanders who just have to sit back and watch this. We all have to do our part. This is how to start. I'm Dr. Christy, and I really hope that this was inspiring and empowering. I'm here for you. Reach out to me, email me, call me if you want to chat about this or anything. If I can support your family in any way. If you'd like one of my wellness guides, one of the wellness guides that I recently put out was one on how to have hard conversations with your kids. That's one that directly relates to this. Reach out if you want to know how you can get a copy of that guide. If you'd like to schedule a consultation with me to see how we can put together a personalized rewilding wellness roadmap for your family, get in touch with me. If your kids are showing signs that they're not okay, please don't wait. Don't wait. We have to act on this. Your children always will let you know when they need help. Their actions will always show you. Their body language will always show you. Changes in behaviors. Don't take these things lightly. We're raising this generation that is so misguided. They need us as a leader. They need us to be their compass. They need us to be that safe haven. So if your child is struggling with anxiety, depression, loneliness, not feeling comfortable in their own skin, this is your cue. Don't pull away, even if they push you away. Get closer to them. Seek support for them. Listen to them. Otherwise, they're going to turn to something or someone else that's going to guide them in all the wrong ways. As a parent, my greatest hope is that my kids know they can come to me if anything is off. Be that person. I ask that we all have the courage to not just ask them questions, but to show up unconditionally so they know that we have their back. They can fall on us, even when the world keeps pulling them this way and that way. They should never, ever feel like they're walking this life alone. It's time that we do better for every kid and every family. Your presence and purpose matters. Your listening, your attunement matters. Your love is everything. May this podcast be an invitation for you to shine and support and stand beside one another, all of us in community. It takes a village. Reach out. Help is here. Share this with anyone you know who could benefit from it. The path is never as scary when we walk it together. The greatest gift we can give our kids is to always walk beside them. I'm dedicating this episode tonight to all those kids who tried and didn't make it. The ones who may no longer be walking with us on this earthly plane, but they're always walking beside us, their light shining as their legacy, helping us, reminding us every day to show up and do our part. I dedicate this to them. Wishing you all a beautiful day Lots of love and a return to wild.